Now here is an interesting question. The total number of progenies obtained through the dihybrid cross of Mendel is 1280 in the F2 generation. How many of these are recombinants? In the options we have 240, 360, 480 and 720. Now it is very clear that this question is about Mendel's dihybrid cross. And what is it that is given to us in this question? We are given the total number of plants that was produced in the F2 generation, which is 1280. And what exactly are we required to figure out here? We must find out how many of these 1280 plants of the F2 generation are recombinants. Okay, so that's what we have to find out. Now I want to begin by talking about what a dihybrid cross refers to. Di, I'm sure you know, represents two, right? So a dihybrid cross is a cross involving two individuals, and in the cross we are going to specifically focus or consider two characters only. Okay, since two characters are studied or considered in a cross, it is referred to as the dihybrid cross. I'll give you an example to make it easy for you to understand. Alright, so let's take an example of a pea plant and consider two characters in the pea plant. One character that I want to consider is the seed color, and the other character that I would be considering is the shape of the seed. Okay, so seed shape. Now, both these characters have two variants which we call contrasting traits in pea plants. Let me first talk about the first character, which is seed color. The seed color in pea plants can either be yellow or it can be green. But the yellow seed trait is dominant over the green seed trait. And the allele that is responsible for the formation of yellow colored seeds can be represented by the capital letter Y, and the allele that is responsible for the production of green colored seeds can be represented as small letter y. Now let us talk about the second character, which is the seed shape. Seed shape again has two variants, either it can be round or it can be wrinkled, and the round seed shape is dominant over the wrinkled seed shape. The allele responsible for the round seed shape can be represented by the capital letter R, and the allele responsible for wrinkled seed shape can be represented by the small letter R. Now, a plant that is pure line dominant for both the traits will have the genotype capital Y, capital Y, capital R, capital R. Remember, we are considering two characters, right? Each diploid organism will have a pair of alleles or two alleles governing one character. Since we are considering two characters, there will be four alleles that are responsible, and that is what is represented as the genotype here. Okay, so this is the two alleles for the character seed color, and these two are the alleles for the seed shape. Okay, similarly, we have, if you have a pure line or a homozygous recessive plant for both characters, then this would be its genotype. Now here is a representation of the dihybrid cross where the two characters seed color and seed shape are considered. Okay, so one of the parents, let's say the female parent, is homozygous for both characters, and it has yellow colored seeds and the shape of the seeds is round, and the other parent, the male parent, will be homozygous for both the characters, and it will have green colored seeds that are wrinkled in shape. Okay, so we begin with these two plants as parents. Okay, now you see how these are the gametes that are produced by the parent plants. The gametes, see, we are representing genotypes with alphabets, and we are representing gametes also by making use of alphabets or letters, right? One thing you must remember is that the number of letters in the gametes should be half the number of letters in the genotype. I'll tell you why. Remember, you've learned earlier that during gamete formation, only one of the pair of alleles is received by each gamete, right? So in diploid organisms like us and pea plants, we have each character governed by two alleles, but only one of them is going into each gamete. So first thing that you must remember in while you're writing gametes for any kind of question is that the gametes should have half the number of letters that is there in the genotype. Secondly, in the gametes, you should have alleles for both the character. You can't have a gamete that looks like, that's represented like Y and Y. Okay, that's because every gamete will receive one allele for every character. So there should be one Y and there should be one R in this particular case. Okay. So keeping that in mind, you can solve any kind of problems in genetics, okay? So over here we have these gametes produced by the parents that are considered, okay? The cross, the progeny that is resulting from this particular cross is what we call the F1 generation. I'm sure you know by now that F1 refers to the first filial generation. So the parents, two pure line parents are considered. One is homozygous for both characters, one is homozygous recessive for both characters, and the progeny that results from this cross is what we call the F1 generation. That is the first step in the Mendel's dihybrid cross. Now what are we going to do next? In the next step, the F1 hybrids, they're called hybrids, okay, F1 hybrids, these F1 generation offspring, they are allowed to undergo self-pollination. Okay, so because it is undergoing self-pollination, both the male and the female parent will have the same genotype because they are from the same plant, right? So you can consider one parent, both the parents to have this particular genotype, which is capital Y, capital R, small r, heterozygous dominant for both characters. Okay, and here you can see how each parent produces 4 different types of gametes. Again, remember we have 4 letters in the genotype. Each gamete should have 2 alphabets and each gamete should have 1 Y and 1 R. How exactly is this done? I have a way that I do. I can tell you about it. You may have done this in mathematics, right? You have A plus P multiplied with C plus D. What exactly do you do here? You multiply A with C first and then A with D and then B with C and B with D. This is how you get to solve questions in mathematics, right? So I do something similar in order to arrive at the gametes for any given genotype. In this case, since it is Y, capital Y, capital R, small r, and I know that every gamete should have 2 alleles, 1 for each character. So what I first do is capital Y with R, this is one type of gamete. Next, capital Y with small r. What I do next is consider small letter y with capital R, small letter y with small r. This way you get 4 different types of gametes, okay? Since both the parents have the same genotype, both the parents will produce the same types of gametes, okay? So both of them will produce 4 different types of gametes. Now the cross between or the selfing of F1 generation happens, and the offspring that results from the selfing of F1 generation is what we refer to as the F2 generation, and that is represented over here in this Punnett square. Okay, so here you can see these are the gametes in the topmost row. These represent the gametes, and in the first column to the left, these also represent the gametes. Gametes are generally encircled. Okay, so this is the female gametes, these are the male gametes. Now we have 16 boxes here which are representing the progeny, which is the F2 generation. Okay, so over here you can see how this big triangle here, 9 of them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Totally there are 16 boxes. 9 out of 16 will have the phenotype yellow and round. So the seeds will be yellow and round in 9 of the 16 offspring in the F2 generation. And you will have 3 out of 16 that are yellow and wrinkled. Alright, and these 3 here, there will be 3 that are green and round. And you have 1 here, the last box, that is green and wrinkled. Okay, so the phenotypic ratio that we're getting here is 9:3:3:1. There are 9 out of 16 that are yellow and round, 3 yellow and wrinkled, 3 green and round, and 1 green and wrinkled. So this is the phenotypic ratio. Now in the question we were asked, out of the given number of total plants in the F2 generation, the number was 1280, right? So out of these many plants, how many of them are recombinants? So here it is important for us to understand what a recombinant is. See, remember we started the dihybrid cross by considering 2 plants. Both of them were pure lines. one plant was homozygous, dominant for both characters, so it was round and yellow, similar to this. I'm only talking about the phenotype now. So it had yellow and round seeds. And the other parent that we considered had green and wrinkled seeds, right? A cross was performed between these two parents, and the resulting offspring is what we call the F1 generation. And in the F1 generation also, all the seeds that were produced, or all the plants that we got as a result, had seeds that were yellow and round. It's only in the F2 generation that we got this combination of traits. Okay, neither the parents that we started off with nor in the F1 generation you had this combination. And this combination of yellow and wrinkled and green and round appeared only in the F2 generation, okay? Which is why this is referred to as the recombinants. That means it has combination of alleles that is not found in its parents. And whatever is found in the parents, these are known as parental types. Okay, so among the 16 here, we have 10 parental types and 6 that are recombinants. So among 16, if we have 6 recombinants, then among 1280 plants obtained in the F2 generation, there should be 480 recombinants. I hope you have understood. Now the correct answer to this question would be option C, 480. Now this is an interesting question. Which one of the following genotypes can form only 2 different types of gametes? In the options, different genotypes are given. Okay, so we have to figure out which among these genotypes can form only 2 different types of gametes. Now, before I read out the options, I want to give you an easy formula that is used to calculate the number of types of gametes that are possible when the genotype is given. Okay, and the formula is 2 to the power of n. Remember this is very important. Now, the n here stands for the number of heterozygous genes that are present in the given genotype. I'll explain it to you with the help of an example so that it's easy for you to understand, okay? So to explain, I'm going to be considering the genotype that was given in this question, which was option C. Okay, so this is the genotype that was given. Now, N here will represent the number of heterozygous genes present in the genotype. As you can see, every alphabet is repeated twice, right? So that is the alleles for a particular character. Each character is governed by 2 alleles. There will be 2 alleles or a pair of alleles for every character. So that is why we have 2 alphabets of the same type. Now, what we have to look at here in this genotype is how many of the genes given here are heterozygous, which means it should carry a dissimilar pair of alleles. Both the alleles should not be of the same type. When you look at A here, both of the alleles for the gene A here are capital. That means both of them are of the same type, which is why we call it homozygous. Okay? And then when you look at B, you see how you have one capital B and one small b. These are dissimilar alleles, and when there are dissimilar alleles present for a character, then it is said to be heterozygous. So B here is heterozygous. So there's one heterozygous gene. Next, look at C. Both of them are capital. Both of them are dominant alleles. So that is homozygous. D. Both of them are recessive. It is homozygous. E. Both of them are dominant, it is homozygous. Okay, so when you're looking at the genotype in order to calculate the number of possible types of gametes, we do not bother whether the gene, the allele pair, whether it is dominant or recessive. Okay, all we are looking at here is the number of heterozygous genes that are present in the given genotype. So in this particular option, option C, the genotype that was given had just one heterozygous gene. So n over here will be equal to 1. So 2 power 1 is 2. So the total number of gametes that is possible to be produced by an organism containing this particular genotype is 2. So this is the genotype and these are the 2 types of gametes. Okay, so the gamete will have, one of the types of gametes will have capital A, capital B, capital C, small letter d and capital E, while the other one will have capital A, small b, capital C, small d and capital E. So these are the 2 types of gametes that are possible to be produced by an organism that contains this particular genotype. So we've already arrived at the correct answer. If you have understood, let's go ahead and try to find out how many different types of gametes are produced by the other genotypes given in the option. Okay, so let's consider option A. In option A, you have 1, 2, and 3 heterozygous genes, right? See, look at it. Here, this first option has fewer number of alleles given to us, right? There are only 8 alleles in the genotype, or 8 alphabets in the genotype, compared to option C. Option C had 10 alphabets given. That means 5 characters were considered. So you don't really look into how long the genotype is or how many letters are present in it. That does not matter. All we're looking at is how many heterozygous genes are present. Now, despite having a fewer number of alphabets in the genotype compared to option C, this can produce an even higher number of types of gametes. Okay, so here, since the number of heterozygous genes is 3, 2 power 3 will be equal to 8. So an organism containing this particular type of genotype can produce 8 different types of gametes. Okay, now let's look at option B. We have 1, 2, and 3. Again, this can produce 8 different types of gametes. You can see how the number of letters given in the genotype in these two options are not the same, right? This has 4 genes considered and this has 5 genes considered, but regardless of that, both of them will produce the same number of types of gametes because they both have the same number of heterozygous genes. Okay, I hope you've understood. Now let's examine option D. In option D, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So an organism that contains this particular type of genotype will be able to produce gametes of 16 different types. Okay. So here we were asked which genotype produces gametes only of 2 types. The correct answer is option C. Here is the question. Dihybrid test cross involves crossing of F1 dihybrid to, in the options we have double recessive parent, homozygous dominant parent, double heterozygous dominant parent, and option D, both A and C. Now, what is a dihybrid test cross? It is a cross in which the F1 dihybrid, that is the offspring that is obtained in the F1 generation during a dihybrid cross. Okay, so in a dihybrid cross, we are crossing 2 individuals and considering 2 characters. Okay, we start off by taking parents that are pure lines for both the characters considered. One of the parents is a homozygous for both characters, homozygous dominant for both characters, and the other parent will be homozygous recessive for both characters. And the offspring that results from this cross is what we consider as the F1 generation offspring or the F1 dihybrid because it is heterozygous for both the characters. Okay, so this would be the genotype of the F1 dihybrid. Now, when you're crossing the F1 dihybrid with a plant that has the double recessive genotype, okay, similar to its recessive parent, which is double recessive means it has recessive, homozygous recessive alleles for both the characters considered. That's why it's called the double recessive parent. When this particular cross is performed, it is called the dihybrid test cross. Okay, and over here, the F1 dihybrid will produce these 4 different types of gametes. And since the other organism involved in this cross is homozygous for both the characters, it will produce just this one type of gamete. And the offspring that results from this cross, this dihybrid test cross, is represented in this Punnett square. These are the genotypes of the offsprings. As you can see, there is a ratio, both phenotypic and genotypic ratio of 1:1:1:1. Okay, so this is the ratio that is obtained in a dihybrid test cross. So here we were asked, in a dihybrid test cross, the F1 dihybrid is crossed with what? Which of the following options? So the correct answer is it is crossed with a double recessive parent, which means it is homozygous. It carries homozygous recessive genes for both the characters considered. It's neither the homozygous dominant parent nor it is the double heterozygous dominant parent. The correct answer to this question is option A. This is an interesting question. 1:1:1:1 genotypic ratio of progenies can be obtained if the plants being crossed have the genotypes. Over here, there are 4 crosses given to us, and for each cross, the genotype of both the parents involved are provided. What do we have to find out? We have to find out among the progenies, that are formed as a result of these crosses, in which cross do the progeny have the genotypic ratio of 1:1:1:1? Now, what do you think is the best way to arrive at the answer to this question? I think if we consider every cross starting with the first one and find out what the genotypic ratio will be, that would be the best way to address this question, right? So let's consider each cross starting with the first one. In cross A, this is the genotype of both the parents involved in the cross, and one of the parents, as you can see, is homozygous dominant for both the characters considered, while the other parent is homozygous recessive for one character and homozygous dominant for the other character. Now I'm going to call this the parent 1. Parent 1 produces just one type of gamete, which is capital T, capital R, and the second parent produces just one type of gamete, which is small t, capital R. Okay, and the progeny that results from this cross will have the genotype capital T, small t, capital R, capital R. So all of the 100% progeny that is formed as a result of this cross will have this particular genotype. So you don't really get that 1:1:1:1 genotypic ratio in this particular cross. Okay, so cross A will not give us that ratio. Now let's consider cross B. In cross B, one of the parents, I'll call this the first parent, one parent is heterozygous dominant for both the characters, while the other parent is homozygous recessive for both the characters. Now, the first parent will produce 4 different types of gametes, which is capital T, capital R, capital T, small t, capital R, and small t, small r, while the second parent will produce just one type of gamete, which contains the alleles small t, small r. Now, here is a Punnett square that is showing the offspring that are produced as a result of this particular cross. You can see how 4 different types of genotypes are obtained in the offspring. So the second cross does give us 1:1:1:1 genotypic ratio, which is asked in the question. As you can see, each genotype is different from the other, right? Now let's talk about cross C. In cross C, you have one parent that is heterozygous dominant for one character and homozygous dominant for the other character, while the other parent is homozygous recessive for both the characters considered. And from the first parent, you can get these 2 types of gametes, capital T, capital R. So from one parent you get 2 gametes, capital T, capital R, and small t, capital R, while from the other parent, which is the second parent, you get just one type of gamete, which is small t, small r. Okay, as a result, this is the progeny that is obtained, and you can see how the 2 offspring that are produced as a result of this cross are different in genotype. So this will give us the ratio 1:1. The genotypic ratio here will be 1:1. So that is not what was asked to us in the question. So this cross also does not give us that 1:1:1:1 genotypic ratio. And now let's look at cross D. In cross D, you have one of the parents that is heterozygous dominant for one character and homozygous recessive for the other character, and the other parent, the second parent, is homozygous recessive for one character and heterozygous dominant for the other character. Now, the gametes that are produced from the first parent will carry the alleles capital T, small r, and small t, small r, while these are the gametes that are produced by the second parent. Now, when you look at it in a Punnett square, you can see how 4 different genotypes are produced in the offspring. So cross D will give us that ratio 1:1:1:1. Okay, so in this question we were asked which of the 4 given crosses will produce a progeny that will have the genotypic ratio of 1:1:1:1. So it is the second cross, cross B, and the last cross, cross D, which gave us this particular genotypic ratio. So the correct answer to this question is option C, B and D. Let's take a look at this question. An individual with which of the following genotypes produces the most number of gametes? In the options, we have 4 different genotypes given, and we have to figure out an organism containing which of the given genotypes will produce the most number of types of gametes, okay? So there's a formula used to calculate the number of types of gametes that are possible when a genotype is given, and the formula is 2 to the power of n. Over here, n represents the number of heterozygous genes that is present in the given genotype. Over here in option A, B and C, in all of them you can see how each one has 3 genes that are heterozygous. When you consider option A, you have 1, 2 and 3 that is heterozygous. D is in its homozygous condition. When you look at option B, you have 1, 2 and 3 again that is heterozygous. Even in option C, you have 3 genes that are heterozygous. So when you apply this formula to all of these, you have 2 to the power of 3, because n here is 3, because every one of these has 3 heterozygous genes. The total number of types of gametes that are produced here will be 8. Now let's consider option D. Option D has 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 heterozygous genes or allele pairs. So this will give us 16 different types of gametes, because n here will be equal to 4. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So this particular genotype will give 16 different types of gametes. Okay, so that is the genotype that will produce the highest number of types of gametes among the given genotypes. Okay, so the correct answer to our question here would be option D. This is the genotype that has 4 heterozygous genes, whereas in the rest you find only 3 heterozygous genes. So in options A, B and C, we can only get 8 different types of gametes, whereas in option D, you can get 16 different types of gametes. Therefore, the correct answer to our question here is option D.